Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Channel Intelligence Holiday Webinar. I am Jon Venverloh, and I'm honored to be your presenter today. I have just a few announcements before we begin. This webinar is designed to be interactive, and the webcasting console can be resized to fit your entire browser window. All the components and widgets on the console can be resized as well. They're movable, stackable, resizable, and minimizable, so have a lot of fun with those widgets. The menu dock at the bottom of the screen shows icons for all the widgets that are part of the console. The menu dock allows you to open or minimize a widget. The webcast that we're going to have today will be highly interactive, and we encourage your participation. Please use the question and answer widget to submit any questions you might have. Just enter your question into the text area provided and then click Submit to send us your question. During the Q&A time, we'll go through those questions and answer as many as we can. Stephen Roth, our Group Product Manager, will be joining for that time. Finally, if you'd like to join the conversation on Twitter, please use hashtag #CIHoliday. And you can also use the Twitter icon at the bottom of your console to post to Twitter. So let's get started. As I mentioned, I'm Jon Venverloh. I've been with Google for a long time, and these days I'm heading up our Channel Intelligence Sales and BD team. And I thought it would be helpful to tell you a little bit about Channel Intelligence so you understand the perspective that we're coming from in sharing our opinions and our prognostications about the holiday season ahead. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Channel Intelligence just so that you have that background. And then we're going to jump into where is retail headed. We're going to look at trends and industry updates. We're going to share some tips on how you can prepare and optimize your content and your campaigns for the holidays. After a quick wrap-up, we'll go into Q&A. So what is Channel Intelligence? So Channel Intelligence is a company that's been in the retail space for more than 10 years. We have been optimizing data and campaigns for retailers to help those retailers perform best during the holiday season and during the rest of the year as well. And so we come to the webinar today with a lot of data that we've aggregated over the years, with a lot of insights that we've collected from serving some of the world's most important retailers and medium and smaller retailers as well. So we hope that you'll find the insights helpful as we go through today's webinar. Channel Intelligence was acquired by Google back in February because Google has been building up Google Shopping and been investing substantially in the end user experience and the retailer experience. And we at Google had found that a lot of retailers had a lot of questions about how they can perform better. What should they be looking at for their campaign structure? What should they be looking at with regard to their data feeds? And Channel Intelligence was a group of experts who had been focused on this space. And Google acquired Channel Intelligence to help improve the end user experience and the retailers' rates of success because Channel Intelligence helps retailers manage their data so that they have good quality data that appeals to consumers in the way that they're searching. And Channel Intelligence for many retailers also helps manage campaigns. So in today's webinar, we're going to be presenting a lot of information that we've collected, that we've analyzed over the years, that we have been serving retailers through Channel Intelligence. The way that Channel Intelligence drives performance is by understanding retailer budgets and goals and retailers' product data, and then optimizing that product data so that the products that retailers want to promote in Google Shopping and other comparison shopping engines will appear in the way that's most appealing to consumers based on how consumers are searching for products. Channel Intelligence also has a dynamic bidding platform that Channel Intelligence account managers use to manage campaigns on behalf of retailers. By putting together optimized product data and Channel Intelligence's dynamic bidding, we're able to improve the relevance and the rank for retailers by optimizing their data and by dynamically bidding on products so that impressions are optimal and conversion rates improve so that clicks and conversions overall are better for retailers. Channel Intelligence has a tracking pixel that monitors the traffic and the conversions on our retailer client websites, and then those analytics are fed back into the work that we do to optimize retailers' product data and their bidding. So this is a closed loop that helps us understand exactly what's working for our retail clients and then optimize. We have been tracking clients' website performance for many years now, and we believe that across our client base, we're getting data on about 15% of U.S. online commerce. And so we come to today's webinar with insights that reflect, we believe, a very broad spectrum of assortments and retailers, and we hope that you find today's insights helpful. So we offer shopping engine services that help retailers optimize their performance through data cleansing, categorization, and optimization technologies, and then we provide to our clients the strategic insights and management to help improve their operational efficiency and help retailers perform better. We really act as an extension of the retailer's team. Okay, so now that you understand a little bit about where we're coming from in presenting these insights to you today, let's jump into where retail is heading this holiday. How will the consumer shop this season? So I think we all know that consumers are shopping across multiple devices these days. Some interesting facts here. 90% of consumers, 90%, now use multiple screens sequentially to accomplish a task. So you can't just have content that works on the desktop or content that only works on a mobile phone. 90% of consumers use multiple screens sequentially, so that implies that you need to be able to provide multi-session support. 72% of consumers comparison shop on a mobile device before purchasing. 72% will consult their mobile device before purchasing. So if mobile is not yet a part of your strategy, big tip coming into this holiday season is to make sure that you're leveraging the opportunities before you to improve your mobile presence. Okay, so next we're going to go to a quick poll to just see how this audience is using its smartphones to complete purchases. So you should be able to see a poll screen before you. How many of you are using smartphones to complete a purchase on your device? Go ahead and submit your answers. We'll give a few seconds or so for consumers or for the webinar participants to complete the poll. And just about another 5 seconds, we should have most everyone's answers in, and then we will go to see the results. Okay, so here are the results from today's poll. So it looks like, interpret these results. How many smartphone users have completed a purchase on their device? So I'm actually not sure how to interpret these results. We see that 11.7% say 1%, 22% say 5%. A little embarrassed. I don't know if anyone on the On24 side can chime in with how to interpret these results, or maybe we can talk about them during Q&A. All right, well, we'll talk about those during Q&A. My apologies. Let's move on to how important mobile is. Clearly, a lot of you are using your smartphones for concluding purchases. I'm not exactly sure how many because I had a hard time reading those poll results, but here's some research that you might find interesting. 46% of smartphone owners have purchased with their device. And that is a big increase from last year when we saw only about 35% of smartphone users had purchased with their device. 11% of mobile shoppers complete a purchase at least once a day. That is stunning. I try to purchase lots of things on my phone, and I work in Google Shopping and Channel Intelligence, and I just find that amazing that 11% of shoppers complete a purchase at least once a day. I don't think even I conclude that many purchases over my phone. So consumers are using their phones to purchase. Being on mobile is essential. And so we encourage retailers to make sure that they're leveraging all the right shopping channels. So there are many channels available. Google Shopping obviously is one that I work with closely and that many of you are invested in. But there are a lot of other channels that work well too, and we have some of them listed here on the screen. Channel Intelligence, for example, will send retailers data to these kinds of channels to help retailers perform well across the retail ecosystem, not only on Google Shopping but across the retail ecosystem. So don't limit yourself to one channel. Make sure that you expand to all major channels and cater to that multi-device, multi-channel shopper. Consumers are hopping from one channel to another and one device to another searching for product to buy. You want to get in front of that behavior and reach consumers in the moments that matter most. Ensure you're on as many shopping channels as possible and opt into mobile. Present across all devices. Use PLAs to target by location. There are new features in enhanced campaigns that make it easy to reach consumers wherever and however they're shopping. One feature that's really interesting, I think, is proximity bidding. Proximity bidding allows specific location extensions to automatically trigger within a defined proximity of your store location if you have physical stores, so that you can increase your mobile PLA bids to defend against competition. When a consumer is in your store, other relevant locations, or wherever your product is sold, use showrooming behavior to win customers. Don't be afraid of showrooming. If you can use proximity bidding to increase your bids when you know that consumer is within the proximity that you want to hit, you can win those customers. Target every shopping mall in the U.S. where you have stores. Bid up to reach active shoppers. For some online pure play retailers, it may make sense to target shopping malls even though you don't have stores there if you want to compete with retailers who are in those malls. Click for latitude and longitude locations, or find latitude and longitude locations for malls and capitalize on the cross-device shopping behaviors to close sales. Finally, CSEs, comparison shopping engines, often have mobile apps that give you more exposure across mobile. Be sure you're looking into those and highlight your product offers. Have unique product identifiers like UPC in your feeds. Increasingly, comparison shopping engines and Google Shopping are using identifiers like UPC to unify offers. So if a consumer shops for one particular product and it's clear that your product matches those others because you have the right UPC in your feed, then you're likely to show up in more results. You're likely to have your ads run more frequently. So make sure that you understand which product identifiers are required from each comparison shopping engine from Google Shopping, and make sure that your feeds include that information. And then optimize your mobile PLA feed so that you can reach in-store shoppers. Okay, next we're going to talk a little bit about trends and some industry updates. So last year, online really shined. E-commerce grew 4 times more than in-store sales grew. So we have some stats to show here. We have a 3.7% increase in 2012 store sales versus 2011, a nearly 15% increase in 2012 e-commerce sales versus 2011. So there's that 4x difference between in-store sales and e-commerce sales. And we also know that 45% of total holiday retail growth was driven by online retail. Finally, a 26% increase in year-over-year sales was reported during Black Friday from online stores. So by the way, this is all ComScore data, not Google data, ComScore data that we're referring to here that shows how important e-commerce has become and how consumers are moving online, particularly during the holiday season. So next poll, hopefully I can read the survey results correctly from this one. When is the best time, in your opinion, to start holiday promotions this year? Now? Early in the last week of October? The week of Thanksgiving? Or the first week of December? So I think you should be able to see this and submit your answers. And we'll wait a few seconds for everyone to get in their answers, and we'll see what the group thinks. Okay, I think if I push this button, we should all be able to see the answers. Let's see if you can see them. Here we go. Okay, 44% of you say that now is the time to start holiday promotions. Another 44% say early in the last week of October is the right time. 11% think the week of Thanksgiving, and about 2% believe the first week of December is the time. Now, I'm speaking to you from London today. I'm based in our Mountain View, California headquarters, and that's where I live, but I'm in London today, and already here in London there are high street retailers with Christmas promotions in their store windows. So at least in the brick and mortar space, already retailers are starting their holiday promotions, at least here in London. So very interesting how early things get started these days. And I think that it's pretty clear that this audience believes that you need to start early with holiday promotions from that last poll. Let's look at some other statistics. So last year, 6 out of 10 retailers started holiday advertising before Halloween. 6 out of 10 started holiday advertising before Halloween. That is a little bit more than what the poll results showed today, but not too far off. Back-to-school promotions actually started this year earlier than they ever did. Back-to-school promotions started July 4th. Most people go back to school in mid-August, late August. So back-to-school promotions were starting 4, 5, 6 weeks before most people go back to school. And we saw that the early start fueled greater consumer demand, and we think this trend will continue into the holiday season. If you look at the chart here, you can see where July 4th promotions started in 2013, that's the blue line, versus 2012, which is the red line. And by the way, this is all Google Think Insights data, in case you can't read that fine print on your screen there. So, top holiday trends for 2013. A few things to keep in mind as you get ready for holiday. First of all, it's a shorter season than usual. I expect that most of you know this, but we have 6 fewer selling days between Thanksgiving and Christmas than usual. That's because Thanksgiving falls particularly late in November this year. So you really have to make the most of the condensed shopping period. So a few tips to think about. Online and mobile will be a big focus. We've talked about that today. Cyber Monday and free shipping, more important than ever. Last year we saw huge amounts of traffic on Cyber Monday, more than in previous years. Black Friday, always a big day. Cyber Monday has been growing in importance over the last few years, and last year was the biggest one so far. The holiday season will begin earlier. We were talking a few minutes ago about how promotions should be getting started very soon, according to most of you who are attending today's webinar and filled out that poll. And we believe that promotions are really important for winning over consumers. And I have some data here to share with you from the Channel Intelligence Index. Now remember, I said a few minutes ago that Channel Intelligence has been serving many retailers for a long time, and our tracking pixel tracks commerce on something like 15% of U.S. online retail. And so we've aggregated insights from that data in the form of this Channel Intelligence Index, which we're going to share with you today. So we aggregate data across our retailer customer base. So all of this is anonymized, of course. And we think that this provides helpful context for our clients and for you today as to what's happening at a retailer level, at a channel level, at a category level. We even, for our retail clients, will show for very small sets of SKUs what's happening across our index when retailers have common assortments. So we use this aggregate data to help influence insights into bidding strategy, of course, and so I hope that you find this helpful. So here is a chart showing category performance for different categories of products. Sales trends as a percent of total is what we're looking at here. So we've got a bunch of colorful squiggly lines. If you look carefully, you can probably see the key over to the right showing you which color represents which category of products. So you'll see that the electronics, sports, games, and toys, you would expect to see a spike there, so no big surprise there. But it's interesting, I think, that electronics stayed high and actually lifted even after Black Friday. So this is an example of a category that continued to do well long after Black Friday. You can see that on this chart, week 47 is Black Friday week, so that's kind of roughly in the middle of the chart. And then Cyber Monday week is, of course, not surprisingly right after that. And then Christmas week, being week 52, is sort of at the right end of the chart. So you can see that for many categories, the sales continued very strong all the way into Christmas week. So make sure that you're thinking about your budgets and your promotions in a way that will allow you to continue to promote your products, continue to succeed even after Black Friday. Here's a couple of breakouts for particular categories. Costumes and decorations is what we're going to look at next. So this is interesting because it's showing costumes around Halloween, and it's probably hard to see the tiny little numbers there underneath each line. But this is all 12 months of the year. And you can see that starting in August, costume sales started to go up precipitously, and then really kind of peaked in mid-September. And then we're really trailing off by the time Halloween arrived. In fact, they're almost done. It looks like a week or so before Halloween. So in the case of Halloween, there was like a 2-month selling period with a peak a good 5 or 6 weeks before the event. If you look at holiday decorations, not unlike what we see with Halloween costumes, where you have a big peak about 4 weeks, 6 weeks before Christmas. If you look at that peak, it's centered right on November. And so I hope this is helpful in thinking about where our consumers' mindsets in terms of how far in advance of a major holiday event are they making their purchases. Here's another one where we're looking at consumer tablets and laptops. So consumer tablets are on the top, and you can see across the 12 months of the year where the purchasing is happening. So a spike around July, that's probably graduation, Father's Day, and then if you look over in November, you see the purchases happening for the holiday season. So again, 4 or 5 weeks before Christmas. Laptops, a little bit different curve, but still a spike around grads and dads, and then Christmas time purchasing happening in November, 4 to 6 weeks before Christmas. So another one, video games and toys, I'll show you next. So we have yet a different curve here, much more volume happening as we get closer to the holidays, and purchases happening further out. So the sales trend for video games starts in September, climbing, as people who are planning ahead are getting out there and buying those video games. Toys, a little bit more spiked closer to the holiday season. So hurried parents like me and others rushing out and buying toys, closer to the big event, I suppose. So here's another one, apparel and outerwear. We'll look at next. Apparel, not so much of a spike at all across the year. Pretty flat line for the most part. Bit of an uptick around June and July, and then a gradual rise towards holiday, right up until the very end. Outerwear, of course, very seasonal, at least in the northern hemisphere here. So we've got sales gradually ratcheting up starting in June, and then with spikes around back to school and then holiday. So a little bit about Google Shopping next. So wanted to share what's been happening with Google Shopping. I have presented on a few webinars over the last year, and we did a series of them around last holiday where we talked about the shift of Google Shopping from a free service for retailers to one that was paid. And in those days, a lot of retailers were concerned that they would have a diminished experience, a diminished presence on Google Shopping because it had become a commercial product. And our theory at the time was, hey, by making it a paid product, Google is able to invest in better relevance algorithms. Google is able to invest in better sales and service for clients. Retailers who were not really incentivized to provide good data are now going to be providing better data for end users. And retailers who want to play on a level playing field and influence their position in Google Shopping by bidding, just like they influence their position on other comparison shopping engines by bidding, and just like they influence their position in AdWords, text ads by bidding, could now do that with Google Shopping. And so we're happy to report that Google Shopping a year later has seen tremendous growth, 3 times as many participating retailers, 1 billion products promoted globally, now in 15 countries. And of course, we've been investing in mobile in order to reach smartphone users around the world. So a lot of innovation going on in Google Shopping and product listing ads for mobile. Okay, so next we're going to talk about how to prepare and optimize for the holidays. So a few tips to share. So first, right out of the gate, start optimizing immediately across as many destinations as possible. You've joined us on today's webinar, so that's a good first step. Make sure that you expand your reach to multiple channels. And just like with text ads, product feeds, at least for Google Shopping, have a quality score. So it's important to start building history now because your quality score will influence, your ranking later. And so don't just set up your products to go live, on the Thursday before Black Friday or a week before Black Friday. Get started now so that you're building up that click history. We also have a few new announcements about Google Shopping. Maybe announcement is too strong of a word. These, I believe, have already been announced elsewhere. But a few reminders that Google Shopping is going local and making it easier for brick-and-mortar retailers and multi-channel retailers to drive shoppers who are looking online to a local store nearby. So we now have new features around local availability that you can include in your product listing ads. And we also have a new offering around a local storefront that makes it easier for consumers to look at your inventory on their mobile device or from their desktop or tablet a lot more easily and to see what you have available in the physical world. So if you're not already familiar with local availability in PLAs and the local storefront feature, I encourage you to take a look around Google to find more information about these services. I like to subscribe to the Google Commerce blog because that's where Google pretty faithfully, I believe, announces anything having to do with commerce at Google, whether it's Google Shopping or other aspects of commerce. The Google Commerce blog is a great resource. Okay, so next tip. Make sure that you optimize your titles, your descriptions, and your other attributes. What I'm going to show you here is kind of an example of what we at Channel Intelligence often see from retailers who sign up with us, and so we're starting to work with them and we're looking at what they've been doing. And what we often notice is that the retailer's website, not surprisingly, is designed to optimize the experience for the consumer on the retailer's website. That's what you would want. You would want to have a great experience for the consumer at your website. However, what most retailers do is they export content right out of their content management system into a data feed, which they then send on to Google Shopping or other comparison shopping engines. And when that content export happens, a lot of times there are problems that materialize. And this is where it's important for retailers to either have a provider like Channel Intelligence helping them, or to have their own team trying to manage this. So if we look at this export, for example, there's a few areas where the data could be better. And by better, I mean a few things. Better so that these products get listed in Google Shopping and not delisted, because if you're missing certain fields of data, or if you have certain other problems like broken links, your products may get delisted. And in fact, in more extreme cases, your entire account could get delisted. So we have here a few examples of problems with data. Some of them are delistable kinds of problems, and some of them are just quality problems, suboptimal data here. So if you look at the product name in this example, it is correct that the product name is NY Collection Dress Short Sleeve Solid, but it may not be the optimal title. If NY Collection doesn't happen to be a particularly strong brand, it may not be the right thing to have in the far left of the title. Google Shopping and most comparison shopping engines truncate your titles, and so you want to make sure that the most important words are to the left of the title. And if a brand is not particularly strong, it may be better to describe the product in other ways in that all-important title. Here in the product description, you see that we have stray HTML tags. Very common problem. I talk to a lot of retailers. Anytime we talk about stray HTML, they all nod in agreement that this is a problem. So you clearly don't want to have stray HTML showing up in your titles or your descriptions, because that will be a bad experience for the end user. Here we have the category listed incorrectly as home. It's some kind of a misconfiguration in the content management system output the wrong category. Maybe petite dresses is the correct category, or maybe there's a deeper node that would be applicable for Google Shopping, and if that category were represented correctly in your feed, you might perform better on Google Shopping. And similarly, each comparison shopping engine has its own taxonomy. So what Channel Intelligence does is map each of our clients' SKUs to Channel Intelligence's proprietary taxonomy, and then that taxonomy in turn maps to all of the other comparison shopping engines, so that every single SKU is automatically assigned to the right category for each comparison shopping engine. Here we have color as dark watermelon. I imagine that some merchandiser believed that dark watermelon was a very attractive sounding color name, and it probably is for consumers who are on the retailer's website and have the context. But if it really is red, and that's how consumers search, dark watermelon may not be the best way to represent this product in your data feed that goes out to comparison shopping engines. Here we have brand, gender, and size all completely missing. So what does Channel Intelligence do? We analyze our retailers' data feeds, and then for each one, we create rules that go through the data and make corrections and improvements to the data. Part of what we do is automated, done with software, and part of it is just human wisdom, because you do need to have some understanding of the product, the assortment, the merchandising, the retailer strategy the rules governing whether you can use brands or not use brands, are you required to or not, etc. All of those rules need to be reflected in what happens to the content that you then have output to Google Shopping and other comparison shopping engines. So here in this example, we've removed the words NY collection because our research showed that that was not a particularly strong brand, and it would be better to go with a descriptive title. And of course, in this example, we would have cleared it with the retailer that, hey, the brand indeed is not that important, and the retailer agrees that it's not necessary to have it in the title on comparison shopping engines. We removed the stray HTML text, corrected the category, edited the color name to be a color that would be more easily understood by consumers, and then we go through and we fill in the gaps with the data that is missing. Like in this case, brand was missing, gender was missing, size was missing. So on apparel, a lot of times retailers will send us at Channel Intelligence a feed that has one row in the data feed for all of the different variants of a product. That is not the best practice. You want to have one row for each variant, each color and size combination or any other variants. You want to have a single distinct row in the data feed. So once all of the data is improved and optimized and present, then what Channel Intelligence does is send that out to each destination in the format that each destination needs. Okay, so let's see what our next tip is going to be. Okay, make sure you're providing the proper unique product identifiers. So Google Shopping is particularly stringent on what attributes are required to be present in your feed. So we're going to take you through a few of them. Now, each comparison shopping engine may have different rules, but we're going to walk through some examples for Google Shopping for today's webinar. So, for example, with media, you're required to have a GTIN, and there are different kinds of GTINs that can be required based on what kind of media it is. Books must always have the ISBN unless they were published before, it looks like, 1970. So there are a lot of little caveats that you need to understand for each category of product that you might be selling. Apparel always needs a brand unless it's a custom product. Items in shoes, handbags, sunglasses, watches have to have a combination of different identifiers, and so on. Now, all of these guidelines and restrictions are listed in the help files within Merchant Center. So you don't need to rely on today's webinar to get this information. I would encourage you, if you're not already familiar with the requirements for your product, to make sure that you look in Merchant Center and understand all of the requirements that are necessary for your product. Once you've made sure that all of the attributes are present in your feed, re-upload it on a regular basis that corresponds to how frequently your data is changing. We recommend uploading a new feed at least once a day. And if you have corrected problems that were previously being flagged in Merchant Center, then you upload your feed, and Google will reprocess that feed and will show you if there are still any remaining problems. So be sure to re-upload your feed after you've made the changes and check to make sure that the fixes that you put in place did indeed reflect correctly in Google Shopping. So continuously audit your feeds. You know, holiday is a time for high inventory turnover. I don't need to tell you that. You all know that. And accurate stock status is super important to avoid disappointing your shoppers. Make sure that you're updating your feeds daily or twice daily to keep your data fresh. For retailers with even higher volume, you can upload it even more frequently. And of course, Google does offer an API that allows you to upload your data programmatically or deliver your data programmatically. Okay, moving on to tip number 5. Take advantage of products with good performance and products that are in high demand, and factor that into how you're managing your bids. Make sure that you're managing your bids efficiently. This is something that I've been talking about for a couple of years now. Make sure that you're breaking out your ad groups in a way that makes sense for your business. don't put all of the lawnmowers in the lawnmower category. Break out categories for which lawnmowers perform better economically for you, whether it's a margin metric or a return on ad spend or whatever it might be. Your product targets need to be designed to optimize your bidding, and we have here what we call our PLA bidding pyramid to help you think about how to structure your bids. So this pyramid is set up to show how to structure different kinds of bidding strategies from low bids at the bottom of the pyramid to high bids at the very top of the pyramid. As you go up the left side of the pyramid, you're thinking about bids. As you go down the right side, SKU count. So as your SKU count goes down, then your product, your bids might also go down, for example. So that's how you read this chart. So for high ROAS products that may have really good return on ad spend, you want to be increasing your bids. For products that don't perform particularly well on a return on ad spend, not surprisingly, you want to lower your bids. And the key here is structuring your product targets so that you can reflect your profitability in the way that you set up these product targets and then match your bids to the structure. And this is not necessarily easy, but it's important to drive efficiency. And what Channel Intelligence does for its clients is deploy a dynamic bidding platform that allows us, on behalf of our clients, to automatically adjust bids based on profitability. For your long tail items, you want to make sure that you're including all of your products in an all products target, and make sure that you set a low bid for that all products target so that you're benefiting from that traffic, but you're not risking your profitability by bidding too high on those long tail products. Make sure for your high sellers that you are bidding up, and so on. Okay, next tip. Use promotions to drive more traffic. I'm sure that you've seen over the last couple of years how important free shipping has become, for example. And this is because of big moves in the market by big players who are providing free or discounted one-day or two-day shipping. And this seems to be a benefit that consumers really appreciate if you can provide free shipping. Push your seasonal sellers in your best products. Launch store-wide promotions. Google Shopping has a great feature with promotional text that you can use. It doesn't cost anything extra on Google Shopping to include promotional text, so if you're not already doing it on Google, there's no reason not to. Some comparison shopping engines charge a little extra for those promo messages, but you can usually make them work economically across these different channels. So here's a chart showing the types of promotions that consumers took advantage of in 2012. You can see that price discounts and sales was the most common. Free shipping, very common at 50%. Coupons, last-minute holiday sales, a little bit less common. And then purchase incentives such as buy one, get one, or half off second purchase, etc., was the least common here in this chart. And this is data from Google and Ipsos from January of 2013. So it'll be interesting to see how this changes with this coming holiday season. So interesting graph here showing you some data about how important free shipping is even on Black Friday, which is usually historically a key in-store sales day. So we're showing you here search trends for the term free shipping during holiday 2012 on Google. And again, the key is kind of hard to see with a tiny font, so I will help you. If you look at the blue line, it's kind of flat starting at the left and then goes across about 1/3 of the way, and that's November 22nd. And then you see two big spikes, and then it's back down on a similar kind of gradual trend around November 29th. So in 1 week, you can see how the spike in searches for free shipping played out last year. So again, even for Black Friday, which is usually when people go to the stores, consumers were searching for free shipping. Total queries for this actually peaked on Cyber Monday, and mobile queries even peaked on Black Friday when shoppers may have been showrooming. So very interesting data, I think. Okay, we are going to wrap up and then move into our Q&A session. So I have kind of a summary for you of key takeaways. So key takeaways for getting ready for holiday 2013. I want all of you to look back on this holiday season in a few months, happy with how things turned out, and I hope that some of these tips contribute to a successful holiday season for you. So let's go through these tips. Right now, make sure that you're expanding your reach to more destinations. Really important to be on all the right channels, all the major channels. We've talked about those today. Google Shopping is one of them, but there are others. Make sure that you have holiday-specific ad groups for your best sellers, for your seasonal categories, and bid up on those. This is the time to make it happen. Start now so that you're building that click history that we talked about a few minutes ago. And then make sure that you don't just set it and forget it, but that you're modifying, that you're iterating, move budgets around, increase your budget for seasonal items, for items that are selling well, decrease your bid for items that are not selling well or that aren't profitable. Okay, in season, once the sales really start going, make sure that you have separate mobile and tablet campaigns. Very important because the behavior is different on mobile phones from tablets. Tablet is more of a lean back experience. Most tablet use, or a lot of tablet use, happens while people are in front of the television and are engaging in other behavior. So make sure that you're breaking out your mobile and your tablet campaigns. Create a bestseller ad group or multiple bestseller ad groups during the season. Audit your performance at least daily, at least, if not more often than that. And then remember how important free shipping is and include those kinds of offers whenever possible in your promotions. Okay, after the holiday season is done, prepare for the cliff. Now, I'm not here to prognosticate about how traffic is going to change after the holiday, but we all know that there will be a drop-off. Exactly when is hard to say, but move out your holiday items, sell those out before that drop-off happens. You may want to lower your bids on December 23rd, 24th, and 25th, but leave all products showing. Make sure that you don't miss out on any sales, but just know that you may not need to be as aggressive on those days. Finally, for clearance items, consider having separate promotional messages for year-end items or ad groups for these clearance items to get them out the door. And with that, we are going to move on to Q&A. I am going to read off questions that have been accumulating throughout the webinar and see if we can answer any of these for you. Okay, the first one is here. Is there any way to get a PDF of the deck? I've downloaded the presentation, but not all slides are complete in the web format. So this is probably a good question for the folks running the webinar. Is there some way to do that automatically? Can someone chime in here? Can anyone from On24 chime in? Okay, we're gonna send a message to the people running the webinar and see if there's a way to do that. We'll come back to that in just a minute here. Okay. How do you define promotions in the feed? So promotional text for Google Shopping is actually done through the AdWords interface. It's not in the feed for Google Shopping. Next question. With shopping season starting earlier every year, when is the best time to start preparing product listing ads? I would say that if you are a retailer selling anything other than something that's highly seasonal, that you only sell during Q4, you should have product listing ads going all the time. Product listing ads are a very efficient mechanism. You can read all sorts of trade coverage about this, but the general consensus in the industry is that conversion rates on PLAs are 2 or 3 times higher than conversion rates on traditional text ads. PLAs have an image, price, retailer name, and title. It's a very compelling format. So I would encourage you to have PLAs going year-round so that you get familiar with the format, you can learn what works, and then ramp up your participation in PLA when your budget is best suited to do that. You also want to build up click history. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the call. Many of you are probably familiar with AdWords text ads. There's a component to the ranking that factors in a quality score, which you can see in your AdWords interface for text ads. Product listing ads do not publish a quality score, but it's safe to assume that quality is taken into consideration, and so a click history, is important. Let's see. Okay, one question that appears to be for channel intelligence. Do you handle the initial product feed only, or do you send updated feeds daily? If you do, how's inventory handled for the retailer? Okay, so channel intelligence does daily or hourly or whatever frequency is appropriate for the client. We start with the data that the retailer outputs to us. We create a feed that is optimized, and then we distribute that feed to all the right channels on the frequency that is necessary for those channels day in and day out. And we have different ways of getting refreshes of the data from the retailer that would show us which SKUs are live, which ones have been discontinued, which products have inventory status as not being in stock, which ones are in stock, and so on. So there's different ways for us to get the data from retailers, and we absolutely provide fresh data to the channels at the right frequency. And for most retailers, that's daily. For some, it's more often than daily. So next question. As an online-only retailer, should I be focusing on Black Friday or Cyber Monday? So without knowing what kind of products you're selling, it's hard to say whether Black Friday or Cyber Monday is more important. Black Friday has traditionally been a time for consumers to actually go to physical stores and shop in store. But as we saw today from the data that I shared a few minutes ago, increasingly consumers are searching online for free shipping even on Black Friday. And so that tells us that consumers are looking to buy online even on Black Friday. Maybe they're just in the mindset of shopping on Black Friday because that's become a tradition, even if they're not in stores, or perhaps they're in stores searching for products, showrooming, and looking for free shipping offers. So hard to say whether Black Friday or Cyber Monday would be more important for you. Okay, what types of promotions are working through the holiday? So we covered a few of those today. Free shipping is probably the most important. Buy one, get one kinds of offers. Anything you can do to leverage your assortment, your supplier relationships to provide something that differentiates you on something other than price gives you the ability, perhaps, to negotiate or make an appeal rather to consumers on something other than price. And we all want to avoid that race to the bottom on price comparison. And so anything you can offer that's valuable to the consumer apart from the price is something to consider. Okay, so it looks like we have some questions for Steve. Steve, are you on the line?
I am. Hi, John.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for joining us.
Sure. So just to introduce myself, I'm Steve Roth. I'm the Group Product Manager for CI Services. Let me answer a few questions that came in. And if we run out of time, I'll be sure to answer them offline individually. The first question are local PLAs available on mobile devices as well as desktop? The answer is yes. Local PLAs are available across all devices. And in fact, just anecdotally, I tend to see more local PLAs surfacing on mobile devices than I do on desktops, which would just make sense because people that are out and about tend to be searching for local information just as much as they are for online. Next question is, how do you optimize local PLAs, and how is it different from optimizing online PLAs? There's a couple things here. One is it's important to keep in mind that the products that are available in local stores only are going to be included in the product feed, sometimes for the first time. You've been optimizing the online content for a while, but the local-only products may not be fully optimized. So you want to pay attention to that, especially since a lot of local product information is sparse. In local stores, you don't need to have a description of the product or the product name because you have the product on the shelf. Whereas online, there's been it's been necessary over the years to obviously build out rich content because that's all you have to show your consumers. So it's very important to make sure that the local product information, the local only product information is robust and detailed, and as well is as keyword rich as your online content is. So make sure you optimize for that. You can also optimize the store availability information because even though a product may be in a certain store, you may not want traffic to that store, or there may not be budgets available for certain geographies and so on. So you may want to remove or bid differently on a store basis in those cases. And in general, there will be more optimization techniques that become more apparent as more features of the service are rolled out to the marketplace.
We probably have time for two or three more questions, Steve.
Sure. So one question that came up is the next one is regarding merchant promotions. Merchant promotions do require a promotional code, and that's one of the requirements of it. The question is, how do you work around that? The answer is right now you can't with PLAs. It does require a separate code. You can still use the promotional text that's defined in AdWords, as John described earlier, but you want to make sure that you use that in those cases. But if you do have discount codes, free shipping codes, and so on, that you use merchant promotions for that purpose. With that, I'll turn it back to John to wrap up.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. I think we have one more question that we can cover. How do you set up PLA ad groups with exclusions that don't negatively affect your exposure? I was under the impression that when you did an exclusion, it removed the items from the all products feed. So it sounds like you might be referring here to negative keywords, so I'll turn the question into one about negative keywords. Negative keywords are risky. Negative keywords are allowed in product listing ads, but it's risky because if you don't understand exactly how people are searching for your products, you may end up excluding consumers accidentally. And so my advice here, I think the only thing that I can offer is to be careful about using negative keywords. It's probably a better practice to set up more specific and granular product targets so that your bids correspond to your products, and let Google figure out whether to show your products for a particular query, and try to avoid whenever you can using negative keywords because they really can have unintended consequences in a keywordless format like product listing ads. Okay, with that, I think we are done with Q&A. We want to just also mention that if you're interested in talking to Channel Intelligence about how we can help you as a retailer in the future, we have some information here for you at channelintelligence.com. So easy to remember, channelintelligence.com. Take a look at that website, snazzy new website that just came out recently. Lots of bright colors, so enjoy it. And thanks everyone for your attendance today and for your great questions. And we look forward to hearing from you if you'd like to continue the conversation. With that, I think we can wrap up the webinar. Thank you very much, and goodbye.